them.
The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown, Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark.
Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto.
My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And there it is. Episode 59. I always have to think about it before we actually get it done. Anyway, this is episode 59 of Two Fat Guys Pull Us live here on YouTube. Can't believe we're saying that, but we're here. It's Sunday night, and yes, Patty, I'm glad that you had a roast beef and gravy sandwich in preparation for our beefy haul because 'twas beefy. And it was actually really, really good this week. I was pleasantly surprised. Usually, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect this week. I thought it was going to be okay, I guess. But overall,
I wasn't worried about it, but it definitely exceeded my expectations.
Big time. I just did not expect it to be as good as it was this week. So we got some good reviews this week. So yeah, we'll get into that. First, I'm going to take care of some business. We're going to jump right past Mystery Pool because it's kind of on a hiatus, but we'll get to it soon. I'm telling you right now, we got some big surprises for that. But as always, we talk about our milestone giveaway that we're in the middle of, and man, we are so close. We are so close to getting to 500 subscribers, and you know the deal. Once we hit 500 subscribers, we're giving away this Wolverine number 1 9.4 CGC graded with the custom label. I just dropped my tape. We're giving this away at 500 subscribers. I know y'all are getting tired of seeing this on every intro of every video we post, but we gotta be resilient in it. We've got to be hungry for it. We got to keep pushing to the masses that this is what we're giving away at 500 subscribers. And then you know the deal. If you've been here for a while, you know what we're giving away at 1,000. So just be prepared. We are giving away this bad boy at 500. We're so close. I think we're
convince you to change your mind.
Well, we'll figure it out somehow. I think we're I think we're at 474 subscribers at the moment, give or take. Sometimes it fluctuates down, sometimes it goes up. But as we speak, we're at 474. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, give us a like, help us out because you don't want to miss any Two Fat Guys Pool List content, so that's why you hit that bell, and obviously you subscribe because we're the best comic book show on YouTube. Duh. Anyway, that's the business. Let's get right into it. We're gonna kick the show off like we always do with our X books, and the first book up is Marauders issue 24. Cover is fire.
Yep, great cover.
And Phil Noto did not disappoint. Duggan didn't disappoint. Dugan.
I don't know.
This overall was a really, really good issue. I was not expecting it. I'm a little confused though. I will say that.
Okay.
Just because I'm interested to see. I wasn't expecting the interstellar part. I guess like the galactic part.
That was my favorite part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it wasn't good. I'm just saying I'm very interested to see how this is going to tie in. Right? Like I remember I kind of prefaced on our comic book haul video, I'll be very interested to see how each issue getting closer and closer to Inferno, how it's going to interact with Inferno, right? And I will say, I feel like this issue, my only criticism is I feel like we might be kind of leaping over Inferno, and I hope I'm wrong. But it just didn't feel very connected in that aspect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
It's just it was a little weird. I'm not a little weird. I just don't see at current view at where we're at 2 weeks away from Inferno. I didn't see a path to Inferno in this book, and that's got me a little worried.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be that Marauders doesn't have a book that really ties into Inferno. Maybe Duggan just wants to finish up the story that he wanted to tell in this story and really get bogged down. I don't know. Because, I haven't seen any covers that are of X books that are coming out starting next month that have any sort of like trademarked Inferno badge on them, like Hellfire Gala or Ten of Swords. Yeah. So I wonder if we're not really going to do that.
That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think you might be onto something. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It seems. I guess I'm just a little worried that we're gonna start getting a little sloppy here. And it's just, again, it's our biggest fears, which is Hickman really just wanted to be. He had a certain view for how X-Men was gonna go, and the rest of the office was just kind of like, meh. We want to stay in this zone and play, and so that's got me worried. It also has me worried that because everybody in the X office wanted to stay in phase 2 or phase 1, whichever, that his Inferno plans have been shifted. And when we read Inferno, we're going to be like, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't feel it. Either it feels forced or it just doesn't feel like this is actually phase 2. That's just I'm going kind of on a deep end. I'm not really reviewing this issue, but I'm just a little worried. It's got me a little worried for sure.
Yeah. Nope. I get what you're saying.
But either way, this issue was fantastic. The story was great. We get introduced to a previous business partner, if you will, to Emma Frost. Mm-hmm. Maybe not business partner, but someone that she took advantage of.
Someone that she's run across before.
Yeah, and she basically stole this dude's ship, and he's coming back for it. And, things have obviously changed since they have interacted. And obviously Emma now is in great power with being on the council and being in charge of the Marauders. And so they kind of have their thing. Guy figures out basically what's, I guess he's like wanted by the Nova Corps, or he's been in and out of the Nova Corps', what's it called? Custody.
Yeah.
And so he's just got a bit of a rap sheet. And so the guy kind of realizes the new playing field, what the mutants have established on Mars, what they're doing on Earth. And at some point he actually gets back to his ship, and it's looking like everything's going to be simpatico, and he kills our group of Marauders. So that might actually be the connection to Inferno, and we'll get into that once we get into...
They're all dead.
Well, they're all dead, and we don't know... I think by the time we get to Inferno, Resurrection is going to be up in the air, whether it's taken off the board or the 5 are in open rebellion, and we'll get to that in Trials. But back to Marauders, this issue was fantastic. Phil Noto did not disappoint. It was fantastic. I mean, this had me feeling like we were reading Cable, and I missed that book dearly.
Yeah, I definitely did. But I also think, obviously because Duggan was writing Cable as well, we're going to have a little bit of that feeling, but I don't know. There's just a certain quality of atmosphere that you get with a Phil Noto book, and I think it really played well to this space age sort of story. Like, everyone's hanging out on planet Araco and in the spaceport. It just felt the atmosphere felt really good because of Noto's work.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'll say, and I think you're gonna love this, is the fact that I think most of our X books are just going to be dealing with space for a good while. Even if Hickman were to stay, right? Like, we know that the next big threat out of humans and Orchid is the Phalanx, right? Like, via House and Powers. So maybe we are kind of going in that direction. I feel like Duggan's X-Men book currently, we're dealing with what's the name of that guy? The High Evolutionary, who's in space, who is with that like space alien council that's just fucking with Earth. So I think if we start getting more space cosmic stuff in our books, I know you're gonna love it, I'm gonna love it, so we might, we still might be on the same track to get to the phalanx and get to that final end of the 10th life or 9th life, whichever it was. I'm holding out hope, but you never know. But overall, Marauders 24, great. I think Emma Frost is still probably one of the best characters in this book. Got a little bit of Star Wars vibes in this, like New Hope with like Han Solo kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because CBR had a headlined article on this issue, and it says Marauders 24 introduces Marvel's Han Solo. They're calling that Eden Rixler guy.
Oh, cool.
Han Solo of the X-Men.
That's cool. I'm down, man. Either way, Marauders is still one of the top X books for me. I know some people have kind of pulled it off their pull list, but I'm still here for it. I think there's only been a couple X books that I've been like, I'm out.
Well, there's only 3 more issues left, so I guess you don't really have to.
So do you think they're just going to end Marauders, or they're going to... I mean, I know in 2022 I'm sure we're going to get a slew of new X books that are just going to redefine it.
Issue 27 has already been solicited as the final issue, so I doubt we get like a Marauders Volume 2, but it seems like they want Jerry Duggan to be pretty involved with the line. I mean, at one point of course he was finishing one book and starting another, but when Cable 12 and X-Men 1 came out, there was also a Marauders that came out that week too, so he had 3 X books coming out in a single 2-week span. So
interesting.
I don't know if they're gonna just reimagine what the Marauders team is gonna look like, because while this book has been really strong, its vision hasn't really been put together very well, and so I wonder if they're gonna try to use that as a tightening tool, or if this is just going to be one of the things that gets thrown by the side. This will probably be the way that I start paring down my X books, is by all of our beloved titles that we've been following for 2 years are finally starting to get canned, and I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to have to be pretty strong. I mean, if we're going to be pulling more X Corps out, I'm paring it down for sure. But Marauders 24, highly recommend it. Even though it's ending, it's been a fun ride for sure. All right, let's jump into the real beef, which is the Trial of Magneto issue number 2. Now, I will say, I watched Comic Book Herald's breakdown of this book, and his insight is so helpful. Really, because I feel like he is an authority on guessing where we're going. And
he literally did, by the way, sorry. Did you see on Twitter, he literally guessed in a live stream 4.5 months ago, he guessed that there was going to be a Sabretooth solo book, and he guessed the writer, and he was right.
Jesus.
About both of them. And I don't even know who this writer is. Like, he's not a well-known, big, giant name. He was like, I think this guy's going to get a Sabretooth miniseries, and then 4.5 months later, boom, he gets it.
My God.
The dude
well, then, okay, so let's just break down this book. So we're still in this idea of, like, we're trying to figure out who killed the Scarlet Witch. All obviously the red herring is that it's Magneto, and I don't think it's him. I think it's too obvious. It's too easy for it to be him. But outside of that, that is the only sure thing I know about this book. And I read this book and I loved it. And at the same time, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know where they're going. And that's mainly the reason why I like it. Not to say that this book doesn't have its weaknesses, because it does. But I'm not holding the book to it because of Comic Book Herald's breakdown of the book. And I know exactly what you're going to say in the sense of where those weaknesses are, which is there are 2 different Magnetos in this book.
Yes.
There
are 2.
Yes, there's the subconscious Magneto, who is in his all black outfit, who's being accused of killing Scarlet Witch, and then there's actual Magneto from the 90s, who's wearing the original outfit, attacking the Avengers. And it's so out of left field in this book when it happens. So the beginning of the book, we have Magneto being interrogated, if you will, psychically by Charles and Hope Summers. We have Hope Summers, who is does not like the fact that they're doing this.
She really like puts it to Xavier though. Like I really enjoyed how much she was just like he was like she says, "Oh, we'll torture blah blah blah," and Professor X is like, "Well, it's not torture." She's like, "It's absolutely torture. Are you an idiot? Like, are you? How could you possibly?" She's like, "Don't be a coward. If this is what it is, this is what it is. But don't just say we're not torturing a man by violating his." So I don't know. I really enjoyed that Hope stood up for herself, but also kind of like flexed her muscles a little bit.
So I think that's a definite. And again, this is all guessing, but I feel like that is a direct clue to what the Five will be doing in Inferno. I think the Five have realized that the Council, aka really Charles, is completely out of control. He has no real care for Krakoa, only through his own ambitions and with Moira. And so I think the Five are establishing in this book and in New Mutants, which we talked about last week, as an independent, entity outside of the Council.
Oh, you think the Five are going to throw a coup?
I do, or at least I think they're going to be part of a side that is throwing a coup, whether that is Emma Frost,
Emma or Mystique,
And so I think we're seeing. I think, and again, we could be totally off, and it's not that deep, and it's really just magic, whatever. But that's what I feel like. I feel like the Five are being set up to be more of a powerhouse than what they really are. I think they're probably sick of being used, and we see a little bit of that with Hope Summers, like you said. She basically calls out the most powerful mutant socially on the island, and saying this is fucked up. Anyway, she basically jailbreaks Magneto in this book and says that she gets Magneto to wake up and says you need to go retrieve and keep Wanda's body safe, right? And he's in his black suit when this happens.
Yeah.
And then we immediately cut to the Avengers. They're here. They're coming to retrieve Wanda's body. They're definitely coming in peace. They're not, immediate guns blazing into the situation. They are doing it very diplomatically, obviously, because Krakoa is so powerful. Right. And then Magneto shows up in his 90s suit and fucks everything over.
I also love the team that they chose too of Avengers. Like, I really like. I'm not a big Wasp fan or Janet character fan, but I think it was a very cool throwback, especially this panel where they're like going in to fight Magneto. Yeah. Like, that's a very old school classic Avengers lineup.
Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't Jason Aaron's Avengers, but no, I liked it too. And basically Magneto shows up and is like, you need to get, he wants the Avengers off the island immediately. He wants them to have nothing to do with what's going on, whether it's the trial or the investigation. And he goes full on rage. Like, he's not very, it's a complete 180 of what the character has been throughout this entire new X-Men run, starting with Hoxpox. Magneto is looked as the main hero of the island. Everybody looks up to Magneto. He is the knight in shining armor. And in this instance, in this part of the book, he is acting nothing like that. And there's been nothing that has given us any evidence as to why he's acting this way all of a sudden.
Right.
And so Harold brought up Cosmic Gold. Thank you for the comment. We appreciate it. We're glad you're here. There's he says basically, one, it's not Magneto. It's somebody else. Or two, Magneto is in such sorrow and is just dealing with a lot of emotions because he truly does love Wanda and still sees her as his daughter, that he's just filled with rage.
Also, so confused at this point if she isn't his daughter officially, or
I don't think she is.
I don't think she's biologically his.
Correct. More of an adopted, because that's kind of established in the last X Factor book, where he even says that, like, you're not my daughter, but you always will be my daughter, kind of thing.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the former and say that is not Magneto.
Yeah.
I think it's the 5. I think it's the 5 up to a ruse, or it's something. It's something to do with magic, right? It's not. It's I don't know. I don't think that's Magneto. I think there are 2 different Magnetos running, and I also think the play of it being Mystique is also too easy. It's not Mystique.
Well, and I think they show you that by having her. She's like literally creeping in the bushes, watching it happen.
Yeah.
So I think that was them saying, "Oh, it's not Mystique, so don't even go there."
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what that was.
So anyway, they fight, and in the middle of the fight, someone shows up, and who shows up? But a resurrected, put that in quotes, Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and she's like, "Stop fighting, I'm alive." And then she kisses Vision, and Vision's like, "What the fuck?" And that's how the issue ends. And when I finished reading it, I was like, I actually really like this a lot. Because I like that I don't know, and I can't. As frustrating as it is to want, because you know me, like I want to know immediately what this is about. I want spoilers. That's me. Right. But dude, I actually love the fact that I still don't know where we're going, and I don't know if we're gonna get all the bread and butter in issue 3 and then the conclusion in issue 4. But I don't think that was Magneto at that part of the book, and I don't think that was Wanda Maximoff at the end of the book either. And again, I credit Comic Book Herald for this. He thinks that it is Hope Summers doing a ruse.
Doing a ruse as in, so all of what we read is happening inside Magneto's head?
No, I think she's projecting it to the Avengers. Okay. Something like that. That's what he's saying. And then the other thing that he brought up, which again, I don't know, but he basically said that, yeah, I mean, no, you're not wrong, Eric, for sure. I mean, technically nothing did happen except for the fact that something's up. Like, it's not I don't think it's as plain as day as the Trial of Magneto. It's not Magneto, it's somebody else. And Harold brought up, he thinks it's Richter. He thinks it's Richter because he's pissed that people still haven't. He thinks it's because mutants are still so glossing over the fact that Apocalypse is gone. They don't give 2 shits. And then apparently, I guess he has an axe to grind towards Wanda because he was a casualty of M-Day or the Great. Okay. You know, he lost his powers. And he's also heavily into magic now. Like, Apocalypse gave him all of his, what are they called? Grimoire to learn. So that's where Comic Book Herald is putting his chips down. I don't know what a little accent came out there. But that's what he's predicting. And, you know, based off of what you just said about Sabretooth popping up with his own miniseries, I'm not going to doubt him that much. He seems to be pretty on point. So, Eric, I completely understand you saying that you were disappointed with Trial of Magneto, nothing happened. I would somewhat agree with that, but also I feel like there are things going on that I think by the time we get to issue 4 or even next issue, I think we're going to be like, that's what's going on. Because she's clearly not, you know, Wanda is surviving in some kind of astral plane, right? So she was killed via magic. She wasn't killed. I think it was made to look like she was killed by Magneto, but something else is up. And is Trial of Magneto going to usher into Inferno? That remains to be seen. That's one of my fears, is that all these different books are kind of just happening outside of each other. And maybe there won't be that much interconnectivity. I hope I'm wrong.
You know, the other thing that I've thought of, and we're really spiraling on on projections and stuff like that, but bear with me.
Yeah.
I haven't read the big synopsis for Death of Doctor Strange yet, but isn't it something pretty similar to like Jason Aaron's run where something is happening to magic? Like magic in the Marvel Universe, there's something happening to it. And the reason why I ask is because you can start to see the ripple effects of that in other books that are coming out right now So like I reread Wiccan and Hulkling because I wanted to read it right and then read Wakanda next. And Billy specifically says, "Oh, like there's something going on with magic." Now, it could only just be a reference to his mom being dead, and so it could have just been that. But there was one other book too.
I think you're thinking Defenders.
Ooh, maybe it wasn't Defenders.
Because Defenders, I remember when he does the summoning, he's like, I have no control. I think it was like Surfer. He was like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" And he's like, I cannot control this. I can only bear witness. And
yeah.
I think it was said multiple times in Defenders that like this is not something that you control. It's just something that you are present for. Right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think we're doing space, and I think we're doing magic, and we're doing time travel in comics. 2022 of Marvel, like that's where we're headed for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, and even though I don't know what the fuck's going on, like I have no idea, like. And I think that's why I like it so much. It's not that frustrating for me. I thought I'd be frustrated in that sentiment, but I'm not.
Yeah, so it's been good.
That's my take. All right, so those are our X books for the week. We're going to kick into Fantastic Four issue 35. And if I had, I think it was suggested to us that we should do like a Marvel pick of the week, a DC pick of the week, and then like an independent pick of the week. If we did that, this would be my Marvel pick of the week.
Oh, okay.
Not overall pick of the week, just my Marvel pick of the week.
Yeah, the Marvel pick of the week. I gotcha. See, I really enjoyed this issue. I was surprised to hear how much you enjoyed this issue as well. Because you have been properly critical of Slot's run so far, or at least the parts that you've read. Which honestly, like, you jumped on it. Kind of the worst part, but
okay. So the reason why this would be my pick of the week isn't. I mean, I liked the story. Don't get me wrong. I thought the premise of it was really fun. But what I liked about it, the reason why it's my pick of the week, is how it's structured.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea of this book is Kang and all of his variants. So Ram-Tut, Immortus.
And Crimson
yeah.
Crimson Dynamo?
No, it's like it's
Doesn't
something
matter.
weird. Yeah, either way. All of them are basically tasked by Immortus to go and get this item.
Scarlet Centurion.
There you go.
Sorry.
And go get this forever item or something like that. And they're all tasked to it because they have some form of connection to it. And the place that it is, or where it's at in their variance of time, is with the Fantastic Four. So they're tasked to go get it, and all of them come back and get it, including a new version of Kang, which is even older than Kang the Conqueror, and he's called Scion.
Scion, yeah.
And if when he said that, I was like, what does that word mean? And if you look up the word Scion, I think it's called descendant or child or something like that, which is, it totally makes sense once you read like fully through the book. Anyway, they're all tasked to get it. They all get it. But Scion, when he shows back, he's been beat to shit. Like he has been beat up. And when they're like, why do you look like you're so messed up? He's like, well, all of y'all fought the Fantastic Four during your time, and mine is way more advanced compared to yours. And then Immortus is like, shut up. In order for this to work, each version of Kang or whatever has to explain their story to me, Immortus, in this book in order for it to become reality. So every time, so first it's, is it Ram-Tut? I keep on saying it wrong. Is it Ram-Tut?
Ramatut.
Mm-hmm. So Ramatut's first, then it's the Scarlet, and then it's Kang, and then it's Scion. Yep. And every time they tell how they got the item and how they defeated Fantastic Four, it was like a brand new issue. So you would get a cover.
Yeah, so you'd get like a cover straight up for each one.
So there are 4 issues of the story of how that version of Nathaniel Richards was able to get this item. And I thought
Also,
that was...
I don't know if you noticed, but even the style of each one. So like this right here, if you've read the Jonathan Hickman run or have seen the Jonathan Hickman run, this is exact same style. They even changed the pricing code to $2.99.
Oh.
And it is appropriately numbered where in the timeline it would fit, what issue this should have been if it was in there. So like that was issue 605 because during the Hickman era they were only doing legacy numbers, but then this issue is issue 376, which is like the later 80s era. And then the very first one, Ramatut, was like issue 28 or something, because Ramatut was introduced in like issue 4 or 8 or something. Anyway,
Eric,
it was done with styles.
Eric asks, should I just jumped off FF, should I get back on? That's really hard for me to say. I enjoyed this issue because this was going to be a make or break issue for me. I said that in our comic call video. I was like, you know what? I think I'm out. And me personally, I'm back on.
I think that the harsh period of if you've been on this Fantastic Four, the Dan Slott run since the beginning, I think we are about to have a rebirth of those first 18 issues, those first 20-something issues. With this, I mean, this issue is obviously like a good step in the right direction, but with the new, what is it called? The Reckoning War coming out, and I think we're going to be getting a lot more involved in that stuff, the stuff from the first 18 issues, not the second half of this run that's literally been bogged down by an event every 3 issues, and then of course no excuses given Slott making one of the most horrible retcons in Marvel history. That aside, I somehow would still recommend
R.I.P. Franklin.
I would still recommend you pick this book up personally, especially there are a lot of people. My biggest complaint on this book by far is the art.
See, I was going to ask you. No. I was going to ask you that because, so it's John Romita Jr., right? And I had that. Like when I saw it, I was like, I don't know. And for some reason, I was going in and out of like, I hate this, I like this, I hate this, I like this, and I don't understand it because I've never experienced John Romita Jr.'s artwork. Because we're noobs.
You're noob. I've experienced it very much.
And for some, I don't know why, there were certain panels where I was like, this is awesome. And then there were some panels that I was like, that's garbage. But I mean, I flew in and out throughout the entire issue on Romita's artwork. Yeah,
and that's the thing is like, I've read a lot, or I've, seen a lot of John Romita Jr. work before.
Yeah.
And in his heyday, colored to the time period that it was made in, I think his art is much better because it relies on more simplistic structure. I think when you put a modern colorist on him that is doing shadows and is doing really deep shadowing and lights and stuff like that, his art can't stand up to that. His lines are too chunky and cruel. I mean, the first page. Look Franklin and what's her face.
No, yeah. No,
that's really, really bad. Oh, Eric, if John Romita Jr. is your least favorite artist, maybe don't pick this issue.
Well, yeah. If the artwork, if that's enough to make you not read it, don't read it. But some interesting stuff drops in this book. I will say that.
Look at this, Mr. Fantastic. Like that's.
Hey, I'm not gonna. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna defend it. I'm just saying I was in and out of it, which I was surprised.
When you put a Mark Brooks cover on it too.
Yeah, I know.
Rough. All right, sorry.
No, you're fine. But this book, basically doesn't solve the Human Torch can't turn off his flames issue.
Nope.
Because we're gonna get that somewhere else. But what it does drop, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but so the revelation that happens at the end of this book, is that new? Is that a common thing of knowledge that that person exists, or is that a new character that we're about to get?
I apologize. I'm imagining it's... Oh, no, that's a new character.
Okay, so spoilers. Here we go. You know, I don't want to give away all of it, but basically, I want you to read it because it's. I do recommend reading it. I think the way the style of it, I think, is really cool. With each issue and each story of Kang conquering the Fantastic Four, I think is fantastic. That is, I think, the main reason why I like this book. And then the drop that Dan Slott is doing, he's preparing us for his Fantastic Four event in the Reckoning War, and then spoilers. The person that sent the item is Reed's father. I guess a good version of Nathaniel Richards. I don't know. But he basically tells the Fantastic Four that Reed has a sister.
Nope.
And she's coming. So, this is technically, I guess, a cameo of this character.
Yeah.
I guess. So there might be a little bit of, speculation on this book. But overall, I actually enjoyed it. Outside of Romita's fluctuating style, I thought the writing in it was really good. I thought Dan Slott was on the top of his game when it came to this story. It was very clever. And where we go with Reckoning War with this issue, and where we go with Timeless, I think a lot of these issues that we're reading, these miniseries and Fantastic Four, they're going to really interconnect with some of these books that we're going to get ready to get in December and into the beginning of 2022. So I'm really excited. So I was pleasantly surprised with this Fantastic Four. Outside of John Romita's artwork.
Right.
But it was good. This was going to be the issue that I was going to jump off, and it kind of hooked me for at least the next arc into Reckoning War. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, all right, after that, we've got Iron Man issue 12, another banger issue. And, the only negative thing I have to say is, why did the last two issues, why were they such crap? Like,
they weren't crap.
Well, no, let's just think about this. We literally had a 2-issue arc outside of getting a character to join up with Iron Man, right? Mm-hmm. They served no purpose, at least not yet. And it wasn't like we had an art break from an artist, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we did on this issue.
Did we? Was it? I thought it was the same issue.
Excuse me. I guess coloring artist is different. Usually it's Cathu.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. It just that those issues 10 and 11 made no sense to me, and 12 was like we picked right up where we were supposed to pick up. And there was no, it's not like we had a different writer or it didn't feel like we had a different artist. So I'm a little confused at that part. Really quick, Quiku, not sure how I feel about the secret siblings. It's kind of a trope. Apart from that, I like how Slott used Kang to explore the FF's history. It was really clever. I hope he can keep this quality up. I agree. We'll just have to see. As for this Iron Man issue, this is what we've been waiting for, right? Like, this is the Iron Man we've been looking for in this run, and we're finally getting some actual substance in my mind.
Right.
So I don't know how you felt about it, or how it read to you.
It read a little quick for me, but it was a really action-packed issue. So I mean that makes sense. I'm just glad that we're back, like you're saying, we're back aboard. Our main plot line, our main story.
Yeah, I guess I never thought would say hey, I can't wait to get back to Korvac. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we're finally I guess we're getting to that resolution, but I don't think we're really going to shake Korvac for a while, because looking at solicitations and this is the villain of Iron Man right now. And
right.
If you like it, great. If you don't, it's probably not the run for you. But it's been really good. And so we get, Iron Man fighting the defense system of Galactus's ship, which is great. I thought how that's dealt with and how the mechanisms of that defense system are used in the book, I think, are really well. I think that's where the artwork really shines. And yeah, you're right. It did read really quickly because there's a lot of action sequences in this book, which I think we've been kind of lacking because we've been building up this story for so long, for 12 issues. So I felt like this was kind of a nice release to kind of see Iron Man in action in more than just 2 panels. We get multiple pages of action from Iron Man and a little bit of wittiness from him. And, the book ends with the setup with Iron Man meeting Korvac and getting ready for that showdown. But I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, then getting the shit beat out of himself, and then he seizes, and then they throw him down, and his suit's like, yep, we're pretty much dead. Like the last panel is just him like laying on the ground like that.
That's right, yeah. But we know he's gonna get back up. Like the dude's got a broken neck. I know, but like they keep doing this like he's almost dead. Like his neck is snapped. He can't take off the suit. You're just like, holy shit, man! And then he just gets like absolutely blasted in this issue, and I'm just like, all right. At some point, he's gonna either have to die or like take an issue off where they show him getting healed, or I don't know, something. I think he's gonna die.
I mean, we already have that precedent, right? Like, Dan Slott turned him into a robot, so he's not even in his original body now anyway.
Right. I think he's gonna die, but I think he's gonna get. It's all based off of solicitations. He's gonna get empowered by some celestial or some entity, whether it's a celestial or any of the great cosmic powers. Time, them all. The dude with the
chaos, time, eternity,
yeah. Somebody's gonna do something. But overall, I liked the issue. I still haven't had a sense of like, I'm done. I think in issue 10 and 11 there was some doubt for sure. But now I'm kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stick with it for a little bit.
Yep.
But overall, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I still think, B+ for sure. All right, Last Annihilation Wakanda. This was a sleeper. Did not expect to like this one at all. And really, we're just getting, what's going on in the Marvel universe in other parts of the canon that we aren't necessarily going to get in the main part of the story, right? So how is Wakanda going to deal with this threat of Dormammu taking over the galaxy with mindless ones? And I haven't read any of the previous Wakanda or Black Panther run that dealt with, the Galactic Empire of Wakanda.
Right.
So I felt like, I guess I'm going to take an educated guess here, but I feel like this is a good sneak peek into that, right? In my mind. I could be wrong. There might be a better representation for it, but I felt like this was a good, like, if you don't know what the hell's going on in Black Panther right now, here's a little taste of what you might get in the next upcoming issues of Black Panther and galactic presence of Wakanda.
Right.
Sure? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Well, we're getting a brand new writer and everything, so maybe they'll take it in a totally different direction.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see like how you felt about the whole relations between Wakanda and the Shiri Empire and how that played out in this book. Shi'ar, whatever. You're better at it than I am.
I'm just letting you know. So that was probably my favorite part of the book, and honestly, I kind of nerded out a little bit because the Shi'ar and the Imperial Guard are some of my favorite background D-list characters. Every time they show up, I'm just like, oh yes, like
right.
Gladiator is, I don't know, he's one of my favorite characters of all time. So yeah, I thought it was interesting because we haven't seen what's going on with the Shi'ar Empire yet. They're obviously one of the biggest players. Before the Alliance, they probably were the biggest single entity, just because the Skrulls and the Kree kept fucking each other up. But yeah, I really liked that we were essentially, this book was using, the final two really big pieces of Marvel Galactic lore, international or intergalactic Wakanda and Shi'ar. Here's what's going on with them. They're teaming up in a very timid sort of barely a team up kind of way.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's even betrayal towards the end of the book, or at least perception of betrayal, and then it all kind of works out. And I felt like there was a redemption. And again, I don't know where this character stands in the current or the last arc of Black Panther, but M'Baku, who is kind of the main character of this book, seems to have a redeeming arc. And again, I don't know where he stands currently within the Marvel comic continuity, but he's kind of the hero of this book, and he establishes himself as less of a warrior brute and more of a commander and a strategist, which is really cool. And so he's able to fend off Dormammu, and they're able to reallocate their defenses towards the main threat when Last Annihilation ends in Guardians. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Wakandan assist in the last part of this book. Because of how they deal with Dormammu. And I'm not going to give it away. I think this is a fantastic... If you're into this Last Annihilation event and you kind of skipped on this one, this is a tie-in that I'm... Like, both tie-ins that we've gotten in this little miniseries have been fantastic. Cables was great, and this one was even good, too.
Well, I think Wiccan and Hulkling was, too.
That's right. I didn't read that one, actually.
Oh, what?
I just... It was a really beefy week.
Yeah, I just think that... Well, and the other thing that I really like, too, is that you don't have to be reading Last Annihilation to get this, even though this is a direct tie-in. Like, if you're a Black Panther reader, that's just sort of all you do, I would actually say this is a pretty integral book to pick up in shaping the overall story of the intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. Even if this is just like a sort of epilogue to... Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, but I think it's important, and it's the same thing with Hulkling and Wiccan. That book is half origin story, half annihilation story, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next up we've got Kang the Conqueror, issue 2. This is slowly becoming one of my top comics of the year, even though we're in the later part of the year, and it's because the sense of inevitability, right?
Sure.
But also, like, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. And I think that's the big lure to reading this book. But it just feels like the younger version of Kang, who we're following through this arc, is destined to lose, is destined to become the Kang he doesn't want to be, that it is inevitable. And I guess there's just like a glimmer, at least in my mind as a reader, of hope that he can defeat and not become Kang. It's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. So we're continuing this arc of young Kang going through life and trying to not become Kang. And you can just kind of slowly, in this issue, we just see the slow wheels of fate turning in this book, where he may not have taken every step to get to Kang the Kang that's been teaching him. He may not take every step to get to that point, but he's taking his own steps to slowly get to that point anyway, and he doesn't see it happening, right? He's looking for revenge. He wants revenge on Kang. And I just like burped vomit. Yeah. Oh, wow. Ugh. And he's just, you can see it happening. And as a reader, you don't want it, you obviously want the good, the best outcome to happen for this character, because you're set up with him as your protagonist, right? Is that the right word?
Nope.
Yeah, so in this book we see him fight the Ram Tut, right? Or Rama Tut. And kind of defeat him, but not. I mean, he ends up being conquered by him and he ends up becoming a version of the Scarlet guy that we were talking about in Fantastic Four, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, he's wearing that same outfit. Mm-hmm. And we see Rama Tut in our version of Kang fight Apocalypse and, battle for Egypt, which I thought was really neat. And then the Fantastic Four show up, wipe them out, and then Kang shows up and basically our version of Kang submits to Apocalypse and says, I can teach you how to defeat him if you just give me a chance. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like, we're gonna get a cool, like, Kang he's such a paradox and very complexing. And I remember calling you and saying, like, explain this to me. I don't understand, right? But not to the point of frustration, but I'm just trying to figure out the dynamics between characters, right? So Kang is technically Nathaniel Richards, who is Reed Richards' father, but we're getting this version of Kang in the future. So did Nathaniel Richards leave his future, have a baby, and then get bored, and then just different variants of himself through the entire Marvel universe?
Sure. I don't know.
Time travel is weird, you know. I don't know. I enjoy it, and I'm really, really enjoying the series. I think it's fun to see I think what's fun about it is that you can see the inevitability literally playing out on the pages. Like, he's not going to escape. He's going to become Kang the Conqueror. He's going to probably lose, the love of his life, quote, and he'll have done this for nothing. And Kang's going to be Kang.
Kang's gonna Kang.
But you never know. I mean, the last issue may throw a curveball at us, and it might not end that way. But I've just really enjoyed this book more than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's fun, and then obviously the covers, man. The covers have been.
The covers are fire. The interior is good too. I really like the interiors.
Yeah, and then like we said, like the aspect of Apocalypse being in the next released issue is really cool. And the other thing I find interesting about that, and this is kind of going off on a deviation, the idea of Apocalypse now has been forever changed since Ten of Swords, right? Like I like reading CBR articles where like, well, Apocalypse hasn't changed in Dark Ages, or he hasn't changed in Kang, and I'm like, well, no, not really. I mean, if you take what's been set up in Ten of Swords, as in the sense that he is fighting to get to that, his wife and his kids in another realm, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I look at it. Anyway, Eric says, Kang is awesome. Love this book so far. Quikio, the writers on this will also be doing the Batman Beyond book that comes out next year, which is based off of urban legends, will be really good. I was thinking about that. I think, when we start cleaning house after December, that might be a book I pick up. I don't know. Yeah. We haven't done our DC solicitations, but that's one of my top 10 for sure.
Interesting.
In my mind.
In my mind.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to issue 3. This is a really good book. Eternals. I'll be quick on this one. I'm sure you'll be quick on this one as well.
Do I have to?
I mean, if you don't want to be.
I was going to say, if we did do an individual pick of the week, this would be my Marvel pick of the week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, this is just getting a little bit more backstory on Thanos and his uprising, but also it's more of kind of the backstory of how the idea of Thanos came to be, which I thought was interesting, because I don't know if that's ever been explained.
It hasn't really. It only has kind of. And I think that's one of the things that makes me love this issue so much, is because if you're a continuity freak like I am, this is kind of your wet dream. Because Kieran Gillen really is just like, listen, we've got a bunch of hodgepodge bullshit here, and there. Ever since Jim Starlin first, started the series in the 70s and brought up Mentor and Titan and all these things, how did we get here? And nobody really tries to make a full stab at it. And really, the last time I think we really got into it was Jason Aaron's Thanos Risings, which is one of the most awful miniseries I've ever read in my life. But I think this does an amazing job of setting that context and understanding Thanos now as a character, and how he sort of works, and his bizarre resurrecting but not resurrecting, coming back not coming back sort of thing. And I think this finally, like, literally we get a data page. Like, we're not even talking about comics. Like, we get an entire data page of text explaining exactly how this shit works. So, like, as a nerd on that kind of stuff, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super heavy, but so basically, let's just go like super like Thanos or Eternals Thanos Rising for Dummies.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, the premise is that Eternals, or at least the mentor, I don't even know how to say his real name, like Lars, is frustrated because he wants to make babies, right? Like that Eternals have I guess been cursed or just don't either have the desire or cannot make babies.
They were told not to.
Oh, they were told not to. Okay. But he wants to really bad. And he feels like if he does, that'll unlock everything. Everything will get better when you can do that. And so that's his drive for the book. And then we find out why they're not supposed to have babies, because then you have fucking Thanos. And he's a fucking monster. And what I liked about it the most was after, he has Thanos, kills his mother and, the whole thing. And he goes off and does his own shit. And Mentor is, wreathing in his sin, if you will. And he cuts it right back to Donny Cates's, or not Donny, it was before Donny Cates's Thor run. Thanos run. So the Thanos issues, 1 through 13 or 1 through 12 before his run started, where in that run, we see Thanos kill the Mentor, right? And I've always wondered, since, we've been talking about that he was an Eternal, so I was like, does he get resurrected? Well, we get the answer in this book. Dude gets resurrected, and Icarus is like, hey, by the way, we're going to exile you.
Yeah, you're to be excluded.
You're going to be excluded. So not necessarily going to kill you, but we're just going to lock you up in eternity in this room, right next to your former lover who wants nothing to do with you. And I think the best part of this book, or the best illustration of this book, is when he's forced to come to terms with what he has wrought in the world with Thanos. When he gets put into this isolation room, they're like, oh, there's this giant board in front of you, this wall, that has pixels, and every pixel that lights up is a soul or someone that Thanos has killed. And so first it starts off kind of small, then it gets big, and then it's just a giant white wall of LED lights just going off.
And it just gets brighter and brighter.
And brighter and brighter. And then you go to the next page and he's gouged his eyeballs out. He can't deal with...
You see that?
Like, fuck, dude. Like, yeah.
It is honestly one of the most brutal punishments I've personally ever read in comics. And I almost wonder if it's too far. Like, I get the point. Is that, like, listen, Eternals don't reproduce. We told you that, and this is why. But, like, fuck, man. Like,
yeah, that was
brutal.
It was intense. Like when I finished reading it, and I think even the book ends like the end. Like the machine is kind of going like, well, life sucks,
Yeah, like that's the end for Mentor.
Yeah, pretty damn brutal. So yeah, I see why this is your Marvel pick of the week. This was a really good book, and it's got me interested in the Eternals Celestial books to see. I'm assuming it's going to be like a history lesson, which I'm all about because I want to know more, obviously, really more when we get to the movies too. So we'll see how it goes. But this was a fantastic issue.
I think that's why Marvel is allowing Kieran Gillen to write this book and then the Celestial one, is because before they weren't sure what they wanted the definitive stories to be behind like Thanos' origin and Celestial's origin. But now that it's going to be cemented in the movies, they know what version it is. I'm sure Kieran Gillen got to see this movie a year ago, and they were like, this is what is going to be official, write a story, making it so in comic books too.
I love it.
And I think that's what's happening here.
It's dope. All right, we're going to go. This one will be quick. I don't know if you read this one or if you couldn't get through it.
I didn't finish it.
It has, I will say, it doesn't appear that we will get any form of continuity connection to how Princess Leia gets into this costume, but I actually like this book a lot, and it's really just this group of mercenaries, these outcasts that are pegged by the Crimson Dawn to go after this family who's extremely wealthy, that is like the middleman for the Empire in creating war machines, essentially. Like they're starfighters and stuff like that. And so they're tasked to go take out this family who are having a meeting that they're never in the same place at once, except for this one meeting that they have every year. And so they go to try to kill him, and it works, but it doesn't. And I think the coolest thing in this book is we get introduced to another form of a weapon that can match up against lightsabers. Yep. That's the biggest thing that I liked in this book. But I think what drove me the most to liking this book, outside of just not really... I think outside of knowing that the Crimson Dawn exists now within actual Empire Strikes Back into Return of the Jedi, outside of that knowledge, this is a really fun one-off story, in my opinion. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't use my not finishing it as a critique of the book. It was at the bottom of the pile, and I got too tired.
Yeah. But no,
I really enjoyed the David Baldeón artwork on the inside.
It's so good. It's so good.
A little X Factor feel to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's what made the book even more enjoyable and readable for me. So, again, if you're looking for just like a fun, I really do think this is the one time where I've bought an event book and I didn't feel burned.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and if you're looking for just like a real fun, quick read about some kind of outside of continuity, but not necessarily out of continuity book, this is a book for you. Should have put in honorable mentions.
Yeah.
All right, DC, Justice League Last Ride. This was fun. Silly goose time. Out of control. Brainiac taking over Cyborg Superman's body with Manhunters coming in after the Justice League. The only thing I will say is I cannot remember why Lobo is the center of this conflict. I don't remember that. Like, he's the prisoner that everyone's trying to get to, and I don't remember why.
I don't either.
I got to get back to that. That's the only bad thing about this book. But we get more history between Superman and Batman, and why Superman's pissed at Batman for killing Martian the Manhunter or letting him sacrifice himself. The biggest drop in this book is... Darkseid kills himself in the past that we keep on revisiting. He blows up Oa, like he overcharges the battery, just kills himself.
Yeah.
Takes out the Green Lanterns. And we find out that on Apokolips, on the planet, there are multiple test tubes of clones of him, of Darkseid. So he's coming back, and there are like a million of them sitting in test tubes. That's the biggest part of this book. And all I could think about outside of that, cause he's Lobo. Thanks, Jaden. Outside of not remembering why he's the key to this whole book, I keep on reading this and going, why isn't Chip Zdarsky writing the current Justice League book?
Yeah.
Like, that's in and of itself a reason why to read this book, because it's so much better than the current Justice League book by Bendis. Like, facts. It's just facts. I'm sorry. Like, it's the way it is. I say that now, silly goose time, when people ask about it, I refer to here. That's awesome, Patty. But it is. It's a silly goose time. It's just fun. And that's what these runs should be. And then we get in. I'm going to go on a rant here. Bendis' Justice League is
what?
Poo-poo. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be one of those guys. It's like, stop reading it. I'm just saying this is better. And it's so much fun. And I know that they were going to do digital only on this, and I'm so glad they're not, because I'm glad I have this in my collection. It's super fun. Nate, you need to get caught up. Fucking do it.
Yes, I do need to get caught up for sure.
All right, Titans United. Did you read this?
I did read it.
And?
I liked it.
Right?
I thought it was fun. So, honestly, this is a perfect example of cross-marketing working. I started watching Titans on HBO Max. I've only seen like the first 2 episodes, and I was like, man, I don't know a damn thing about the Titans or what their team is composed of at all. So when this book came out, I didn't pick it up at first. You did, and then when I went to the shop to get to pick up the books, I was like, you know what? Who's writing that book? And I saw it was Kevin Scott, who's doing some awesome High Republic work right now. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick that up. So. I did, and I'm glad that I did.
I think the dynamic of the team in this book is great. This is the book that I wanted Teen Titans Academy to be. It's just good, and there's like a genuine story here that I don't think you really. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to know the dynamics with the team, but they just start you off with like you don't really need to know what's going on. This is a new threat, and it was fun. I was not expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess because I was so burned by Teen Titans Academy. Yeah. I was like, there's no fucking way that there's another Teen Titans book and it's going to go that way. Like, we get the team, we get the dynamics. It's fast paced. It's written well. The story is awesome. The mystery is there. Mm-hmm. I guess the only thing I can say is hopefully after 7 issues, they say, you know what? We need a Titans book. That's just, it's Titans United. It's not a mini. It's like a full on Titans book because I would love that.
Yeah, and you know, that's the other thing too is I'm so unfamiliar with all of these characters that while I don't mind, you know, my character ideas being formed by TV or movies or whatever, because that's how I got into comics in the first place. I kind of want to get a comic version of their identities as well because of things like Jaden saying he couldn't finish the show, he doesn't think it's good. I've heard so many people that are just really into comics. You know, that have read the stuff and they have such diametrically opposed opinions on this show, especially this new season. Mm-hmm. And because I am super easy to please when it comes to TV shows, like I'm on season 3 or 4 of Arrow and I'm totally having a blast with it. What? You don't think I'm easy to please?
Not in some things.
Okay, with superhero stuff I am.
What if you're like super like
no, that's because the animation is just
it's not. We'll get into that later. Go ahead, keep going.
Anyway, all I was saying is that I'm glad I picked this up. I enjoyed it. I like seeing some of these characters that I really want to know about, like Beast Boy and Raven, Starfire. I don't know anything about these characters at all, but I want to. So that was my main motivation for picking it up.
Yeah, and like for me, my base knowledge of the Titans is like Teen Titans Go and Titans the cartoon on Cartoon Network before Teen Titans Go. So that's kind of my base, and I know that's like super immature, super pre like not comic. You know what I mean? Like it's kiddie cartoons, but that's my base knowledge, and I'm still enjoying the hell out of this. So yeah, Patty, if they have it, get it. If not, let us know, and we'll see if we can ship you one from the shop. Because I'm sure I'm sure Ron has an issue that you could buy for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's it's CW shows are bleh. I agree with you, Mike. All right. Let's get into our independence, and we're gonna kick it off with Boom. Dude, Tom Taylor still killing it. Yeah. This was a fantastic book. This was almost my pick of the week for independence and overall. But this book just keeps on getting weirder and weirder in a good way. And we just get more like mystery being solved. Like we answer one question, but then we get like 15 other questions. The thing that I can't tell if it's going to be a definite or not, and we've had this question for a while, is remind me of the main character's name. The kid. Casper,
yeah.
You know, we've always been teased with this idea that Casper's gonna die.
Right.
He gonna die. He gonna be dead. Mm-hmm. And in this issue, it's like, I'm going to die in 2 days. And I'm just kind of like, but are you?
Well, for sure. He's for sure gonna die, but that doesn't mean that he will be gone from the book. So, I mean, we're just gonna give away the part.
Yeah. Right? Why not?
Just in case, if anyone, I don't know too many people that are reading along on this one, which you silly gooses should be doing that.
Yeah.
But
right.
So basically, they find what are the bad guys called again?
I don't remember. Let's call them the Retrievers.
The Retrievers, yeah. They find their secret base, this giant building, and they're going to blow it up. And Casper's mom and that that fat dude that's his friend but not his friend, and the Queen of England. They're all on the top of the building, and the building's literally like exploding at the bottom and is about to fall down. And then all of a sudden, we see Casper motherfucking flying with like electricity coming out of his eyeballs.
He has superpowers.
He's got superpowers, and so they go and pick him up. He goes and picks all three of them up and is be able to land with them, and boom. So I think it's pretty obvious that while he is going to die, this is the promise that has been given to us since issue 1. I don't think he's going to stay dead.
Right, just like his dad.
Right, he's going to resurrect in some way, somehow. Maybe that's probably what's in one of the secrets, right? Is that his mom knows. His mom knows all the secrets now.
Right.
What's happened is he's going to die, and she's going to say, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going to use this secret to resurrect my son.
Resurrection, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's his father who has that secret. I bet that's what it is.
I mean, that's probably what it is that every time the person holding that secret dies, the next holder is a resurrected person. I don't know where I was going with that now. But
yeah, no, I see where you're trying to go, but I get it. I know what you're saying.
Anyway, but it would be interesting.
No, but this book's been great, and I think when it first started, it read a little heavy, and now that we're like in it, it's flowing a lot easier. Where I'm not like drudged down with like more concepts of the book. Like we get it, right? And now we're just getting into the mystery of it. And is it going to get solved? We have to read and find out. It's been great. And I think the best part of this book for me is the fact that you initially did not like the artwork, and now you're like, oh, I love the artwork.
I'll say it every week. The worst and most wrong take I've ever had in my entire short history of comic book critiquing, reviewing is poo-pooing on the art of this book, because it is dumb good.
That's when we did our first it was our first early review, because we got like the early issue, and we did a quick review on it. So yeah, for sure. But it's a good book. All right, continuing on with Boom, we're going with Wynd issue 10, and this is our pick of the week.
That's the guys. Pick of the week.
Yeah, so kind of called it. Oh, jeez, kind of called it in our comic book haul video. And we had the pleasure to actually get Michael Delianis, I think is how you say his name, to comment on our video and basically call us out for being upset that he was going to be on hiatus, because it takes him literally 11 months to write the entire book that comes out every, year, essentially. Yeah. And we are super stoked that he watched our video and that he liked the fact that we were liking the book. And so just letting you know, Michael, this is our pick of the week, because this book is fucking awesome, dude. Your artwork is killer, and Tiny Onion does it again, man. Like, the story has just got me hooked. And kind of the same thing with Seven Secrets. At the beginning, it was kind of a slow build. We got a little bit of mythos, and now, man, we are moving fast, and things are building, things are escalating, things are de-escalating. This shit is good, dude. And we got, a major revelation that we all kind of knew was coming, which is Wynd is part of this ancient race that's been gone forever. And, he's becoming he's becoming more of a monster. Kind of went Super Saiyan a little bit in this book, which was really cool. And we find out finally that, his crush isn't dead, and he actually gets saved. And now he is kind of connected to the magic of the world, which I think we're going to see more in book 3. This book was fantastic. What I'm ready for in book 3 is I really want to dive deep into the mythos of Wynd, like the winds, the 3 winds, and the different races. Like, I'm ready to really, we kind of got a little bit more of that in this book, but I'm ready to really dive into it in book 3, and I hope that's where we're going. I think we are.
I hope so too. I actually kind of went off the deep end a little bit on this one after I read it, just because I enjoyed it so much. I went back and reread the first book, so the first 5 issues, and I think when we get to the point where they're describing the origin of the world, essentially.
Right.
I just like read that over like 3 times, where it was like describing the races and stuff, and I was like, man, this is just so deep, like so rich, but it's like not that much more. You know what I mean? Like it's still like a comic book. I know it's a little oversized, but like very few times have I felt so immersed in a story, and like I felt I knew so much history and had such a connection with characters by 10 issues. Like I feel like Tynion has done more character development in these 10 issues than like some of these X books have done in 20 plus.
I would agree with that assessment.
That's not necessarily a knock on those, because they're not just character driven, but like, man, I don't know, this book, especially this chapter, was really good because a lot of it was really dark, like literally at like battles at nighttime with like dark feathers and dark clothes and stuff. The fact that I never once, and I'm super sensitive to things being too dark, and the fact that I never felt like it was too dark, but it kept that eerie feeling and the sense that you were literally in a dark enclosing forest. It was perfect.
I also liked the character development of the prince, who has been, initially like trying to leave, and he finally kind of like owning to the fact that he can't run from his problems. And I think everybody in this book is kind of dealing with that. Like Wynd is dealing with it, his crush is dealing with it, the prince and the cousin are dealing with it, and so everyone's kind of coming to terms with the responsibility they bear and what that rots, right? Like the prince is dealing with the fact that he probably just started a war. Like, not probably, the war is starting, with the 3 races, with the vampires, the fairies, and the humans. So, like, I think book 3, I think it's just going to get more intense. And Tynion, I know you're not on social a lot, but just please let us know. Are we getting more like Mythos? I really hope we are, because when that shit gets in the book, I'm like, dude, I'm ready to see, like, I want either a couple issues or an entire book dedicated to the past, right? To see like everything being built to where we're at in current day, like almost a prologue.
I would love a Something is Killing Children style second book spinoff.
Yes.
House of Slaughter style, that's supposed to give us some more elaborate in the past background, like almost like a Silmarillion, or however the hell you say that.
Yeah.
Like where it's just about way in the past, the previous age, and it helps you understand the context of now. I would spend good money on that book.
Yeah,
I'd subscribe to his Substack.
Oh my god, I was waiting for you to say that. I'm gonna do Substack.
If it was on there, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Mike says, yeah, that is awesome. Maybe someday you'll get to interview him. That would be cool.
Yeah,
I'd be down.
Be
anyway, we can't recommend this book enough. If you haven't read Wynd, go buy the first book, and then I'm sure the second book will be in collected form fairly soon. This is a fun book, and I still don't quite understand how this book is in young readers anymore, because it gets a little graphic.
It does not make any sense to me. Like, it is not horrible or over top by any means, but this is not a young reader's book. And
no. All right, next up, again, we're going to talk about this book that's from Boo. It's Boom. It's a new number 1 bid. But we're just going to put a trigger warning now to the book, because it deals with very sensitive topics, and we're going to try to describe it as best as possible, outside of the fact that we just won't ever really be able to really understand the trigger, because we're dudes. And that is Ma issue number 1. You bought this book initially, and then you told me about it. You literally told me everything about the book, and I was like, no, you know what? I want to read it. I want to experience it. I want to get to, I want to support Jude and just what she's trying to write, and I want to support it. But I want you to describe, like, you have a better take on this. You're more articulate on this book than I am, so I'll just kind of sprinkle as you go.
So the basic premise of this book is we follow our 2 main characters, which are sisters, and one is very excited about this retreat that they are going to go on Angatia Island. Have you ever heard of that? I have not. Angatia Island off the coast of Virginia, and it seems like it's some kind of women's retreat. Only women are allowed. The guy that's driving them there literally stops at the bottom of a hill because he says, I'm not allowed to go at the top of the hill so that I don't see the women and they don't see me. One sister's blonde and red shirt and very like high energy. The other sister's wearing all black with dark hair and thick eyeliner. And she's obviously does not want to be there. And before they set off, she actually tells the driver, hey, come back at night and like take me to a bar somewhere because there's no way I can get through this weekend sober. And so we see a little bit of the I don't know what you want to call it, the camp or the
retreat.
And you know, it seems a little bit like flowery or just like a little bit like fantasized. Like it's purposely being done up over the top is what I mean.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Not that the themes are not that the themes are bad, but just like it's made to feel very like grandiose or just better than real life.
Yeah. Fantastical.
Yeah. And it's all like very bright and stuff too. Like it's you know like these pages are very bright colors. But then we go to nighttime and it's the sister, the sister in black, and she goes to a bar. And all of our scenes, obviously in a dark bar, are going to be dark. But I'm just saying that the art very contrasts what's going on here. And unfortunately, our main character is taken advantage of and raped. And we see that she comes to on the beach back at the retreat, and the driver found her, presumably outside the bar, took her back to her sister, and they have a conversation about this happening. And you find out that this is something that has happened to this character before, and that probably part of this retreat is an ability to try to mend the hurt from the first time that happened.
Yeah, like come to an acceptance and using it as a strength rather than a hindrance. I think would be the best way to, in my mind, to describe it. I could be off.
Yeah, and I would say that the latter half of this book, the part where she's having a conversation with her sister and sort of living the first time that happened, I would actually say is probably the most triggering part of this book. I'm actually not even going to get into the details just because I don't know, it doesn't feel necessary, but it's just very, very bad. It's just like a horrible thing that happens to her. And what I think is even probably the hardest is that her sister's kind of like, well, don't you think you like would have learned after the first time? And you know, is very unsupportive. And then what makes this book more than just a story about that is this really weird transformation that we see just in the final 2 pages, really, of this book. You see the main woman that is running this retreat is like standing. I don't know if it's implied that it's raining outside or not. I felt like it kind of feels like it should be raining.
Yeah.
But like her skin is starting to like melt off as it rains. And then the sister that was in the dark clothes with the dark hair is in the shower, and the same thing is happening to her. Like her skin is starting to slough off and blood is like coming out of her eyes and stuff. And so it talks about how you know, the transformation of this island isn't the transformation I thought it would be. So this book just, you know, wasn't what I expected. I am going to pick up issue 2 because I'm interested to see where this is going. I'd like to throw support behind a book that I think is tackling a really, really hard topic.
Yeah.
But I will have to say, like, comics as a getaway is usually what I'm doing. It's kind of as an escape. But I like critical ones. But if you're gonna pick this up, just be in the mindset that this is a critical concept. This isn't. You're not reading Spider-Man to relax at the end of the day. That's not what this book is.
No.
Just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, it was out there for sure, and I think because of the way you described it to me after you read it, I was like, I'm gonna go pick it up. I want to check it out. I want to throw the support. And it's a 5-issue series, so it's not like you're diving into multiple books through the series. So I think I'll join you on continuing to read and see where it goes. But that's boom. And then our one image book that is in the main part of the show is Primordial issue number 1. This is a Jeff Lemire book that you told me that I needed to pick up immediately after you got done reading, and I did. And before we go into the review, what up, Luby? Thanks for joining. No problem. You can lurk all you want. I support it. Yeah, so you were dead on this book. This is a Department of Truth in space.
Yes.
And you know what? The artwork really didn't. I wasn't as on the artwork as I think you thought I'd be.
Maybe that's just because I am.
Oh, I gotcha. I mean, it didn't bother me that. I mean, it wasn't like I can't read this, but it wasn't as I don't know. I didn't find it too unnerving.
Okay, good.
But essentially, what we have in this book is we find out that the monkeys that we shot in space and the dog that the Russians shot in space are still alive, and they're living in a alternate dimension reality. Yes? No?
Something
I don't know.
Like that, right?
So, I mean, that's the main premise of the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the main premise. So this is a little bit of like an alternate history, because instead of those things being successful, they're not. They assumed that the animals died, and the book starts with a expert in some type of space travel getting called in, and he thinks, oh man, I'm getting called in to help resurrect the space program, because this is an alternate history where the space program dies after 1961. We don't ever go to the moon or do this stuff.
Did we go to the moon?
Well, yes, we went to the moon. God. You've been reading too much Department of Truth.
That's true.
Yeah, enough people believe it. Then we didn't.
Yep. Anyway,
he thinks he's getting called to restart the space program. He's not. He's getting called to help them decommission it and sell off the parts that are worth the most money. And while he is there, he is slipped some information quite slyly by like a janitor or something that was like, oh, I was throwing these away, but maybe you'll like to see them. And it's charts that basically prove it's literally the heart reading readouts from the monkeys that get sent into space, and it proves that they were still alive past the 247 time frame that everyone was told that they were dead. They were dead.
They were dead, died. Yeah.
They were dead, died.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, this is a setup issue for sure, just to kind of get us going where we're going to go. But yeah, the idea that again, very Department of Truth, but like what we thought happened didn't happen. Very conspiracy theory. Like there's an alternate reality. It's very psychedelic Pink Floyd sort of stuff going on here. I mean, that's straight up Dark Side of the Moon, which I'm an absolute sucker for. So yes, give me. And I have actually not read a ton of Jeff Lemire, but this is his strong suit. This is like what he's known for, is this deep thinking sci-fi stuff. So yeah. I thought, why not? Let's just let's read one as it's coming out.
So is this a mini or is this an ongoing?
I think this is a 6-issue mini.
Okay, cool. I can do that. I liked it. I thought the most interesting part of the book is when you see the monkeys talking in this alternate reality, and they're like, ee, ah, ooh. And then the dog comes up and is like, hello. Like it's literally speaking English.
Right. The Russian dog.
Now, again, I'm going to sound horrible because I'm a history student. Like the actual monkeys that we shot into space.
Yeah.
They never came back down, right? Like they did.
I don't know if they're dead.
But they never came back down.
Well, they never came back down. That doesn't mean they're
So
dead.
does that not freak you out that there's like in the space junk that's floating around Earth right now, there's just a dead monkey?
No, that doesn't freak me out at all.
Not at all. Like, isn't that fucked up?
Nope.
Or a dog?
Nope. So sorry, it doesn't. Nope.
Damn,
No,
dude.
not at all.
You must be a hoot at zoos.
Heartless bastard.
Anyway, that's Primordial issue number 1. I enjoyed it. I think I will continue to do the mini, go into the mini since it's, you know, not an ongoing like department, because I have fully committed to that, but I don't know if I could commit even more to something of the same caliber. But it was dope. All right, on to honorable mentions. This will be really quick. I have 1, 2, 3, yeah. And I don't think you don't have any, right? You had Darth Vader, but you don't even get to talk about that. First, you got Time Before Time. Again, if you're not invested into this book, me talking about it is not going to make a lick of sense. But this is freaking awesome. This book is getting better and better by every issue, and I cannot wait to see the consequences that happen in issue 6, which I think is the last issue of the first arc. But people dead in this issue, and people gonna die in the next issue. But it's Nate, I think you need to pick this up when like the first trade comes out. I totally think you need to pick it up because it'll definitely read better. But you know, space travel, or not space, time travel, freaking awesome. Joker issue number 7. I think I'm done. Even though a new character is introduced in this book, I think I'm done. Just because it really does feel like, and I don't know if it's based off of my perception of the situation, but it really does feel like Tynion is kind of mailing it in, and I don't know, it just doesn't have the same hook, you know, like, oh, will Jim Gordon kill the Joker? Well, that's already kind of past, you know, like we're already kind of onto this. Now he's off to trying to find him again, and like I don't want to reread that. But you know, new characters introduced in this book, so if that's your thing, go pick it up. At least I think they are. I could be off on that. And then our last one, which we both read, is The Mighty Valkyries, issue number 5. I like this book. I liked the series. I don't know what the hell happened in it.
Nope.
But
no
the
idea.
Artwork in this last issue is out of this world. I just completely jaw-dropping. It looks like paintings, like Renaissance paintings. Mm-hmm. And I just can't imagine how much work went into like doing the penciling and then doing the actual like coloring for this book. But this book was fun, and we are promised that we are going to get more Valkyries, and Valkyrie is going to be making an appearance in Avengers. So
I'm sure this isn't what they meant, but it straight up says that she joins the Avengers team. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Afterlife's greatest protector will join Earth's mightiest heroes in the Avengers.
I gotta wonder if that's because She-Hulk will be getting her own book. Or will she just be in the arc?
It's probably just the arc, but I would fucking love it if they pull She-Hulk out for her own book. She's not in the Avengers anymore. Yep. And they put Jane there. Because one, not only do I want more Jane Foster as Valkyrie just being around, but I think Jason Aaron gives her best voice. It is his character. He is the one that created this modern version of Jane as a superhero, and I want more of him writing her.
Could not agree more.
So that would be nice.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I think there's a good possibility that actually happens. So cross your fingers. Anyway, that's going to do it for our pulls this week. Next week is pretty substantial, and we get another James Tynion Batman. We get a Miracle Molly, what are they called?
Secret Files.
Secret Files. Super stoked for that. And then we get some X-Men. We get another X-Men book. So my expectations for next week, I think I'll keep it as the same as this week, but I think there's some other bangers out there, so we'll have to wait and see. But as always, thank you everybody who is watching live right now. We can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out with us every Sunday starting at 8. And if you're watching this as a past episode, thanks for watching. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, give us a like, help us out. We're so close to 500 subscribers. We're going to get there, guys. And then you won't ever have to hear us talk about this Wolverine #1. You can talk about the book we're going to give away when we hit 1,000 subscribers.
We don't have to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. But anyway, we'll get there when we get there, guys, but we appreciate it. I'm sorry we annoy you every video with it, but we got to keep it consistent for everybody that has never subscribed or seen our shows before. So thank you again for watching, and as always, read more comics. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
So you.